Hey there, 8th graders. Welcome to today's Explainer. I am super thrilled to have you here because today we're taking on a really specific, kind of awesome role. We are literally going to become word detectives. We're going to master the art of finding hidden meanings in the stuff we read, and then we'll see how those sharp reading skills actually connect to some totally crucial real-world life skills. So let's get focused and crack some mysteries together.
So, picture this. You're reading this fantastic story, or maybe a really gripping article. You are completely in the zone. The movie is playing perfectly in your head. And then, bam, you hit a massive roadblock. Just a giant, confusing $10 word that you have absolutely never seen before. You don't have a dictionary handy, and honestly, even if you did, stopping to go look it up, it just completely ruins your reading flow. It's so frustrating because it pulls you right out of the text. But what if I told you that the text itself is actually trying to give you the answer? That's the exact problem we're going to solve today.
I actually really love looking at this simple but super powerful idea from 1 Corinthians 14, verse 9. Give the meaning of words clearly. That right there, that is our ultimate mission as readers and communicators. We're literally on a quest for clarity. We aren't just letting our eyes glaze over words on a page, we're actively searching for the true, clear meaning behind those words so we can actually understand and use the knowledge we're gathering.
Okay, so how do we actually get that clarity without constantly pausing to Google a word? Well, we use context clues. These are the surrounding hints, like the words and sentences right next door to your mystery word, that let you solve it without breaking your focus. And why does this matter so much? Here's a crazy fun fact. The average reader learns over 3,000 new words a year just from reading in context, not from a dictionary. 3,000 words! Mastering this saves you a massive amount of time, it completely boosts your reading comprehension, and best of all, it builds your independence. You don't have to wait for someone else to explain it to you. You've got the power to figure it out all on your own.
Now, you might be sitting there thinking, okay, this sounds like a pretty tough academic skill, but honestly, you already do this in real life all the time. Imagine you walk into a nice restaurant and you see a little sign on the table that says complimentary bread. Even if you've literally never heard the word complimentary before, you know you didn't pay for it, the waiter just happily dropped it off and everyone at the table is eating it. Based on that situation, your brain automatically guesses, hey, complimentary must mean free. See? That is context at work. You're already a detective.
All right, moving into Section 1, the Detective's Toolkit, 5 clue types.
Let's quickly pop open that toolkit and look at the 5 main ways words hide their meanings in plain sight. First up, the definition clue. This is where the sentence flat out tells you what the word means. Second is the synonym clue, where a similar, much easier word is hanging out right nearby. Third, the antonym clue, where the author gives you the exact opposite meaning to help you contrast it. Fourth is the example clue, where a helpful list totally explains the mystery word. And finally, the inference clue, where you just have to take the whole situation and make a highly educated guess. The cool thing is, whether it's giving you a definition, an opposite, or making you guess based on the vibe, the text is constantly helping you. Okay, this is absolutely crucial. You've got to look for the literal fingerprints left at the scene of the mystery. Authors don't actually want you to be confused, so they leave a trail. If you spot commas surrounding a phrase, or parentheses, or little signposts like which means, or in other words, red alert, your detective senses should be going crazy. The author is practically handing you the definition of a hard word right there on a silver platter.
But, sometimes the immediate sentence just isn't quite enough. Context clues are exactly like puzzle pieces. Alone, one piece might just look like a weird, confusing blob of color. If you're stuck, you absolutely must expand your investigation. Look beyond the sentence. Read the one before it. Read the one after it. Sometimes you really have to step back and look at the entire paragraph for that whole picture to finally come together.
Let's move on to Section 2, Fieldwork, Solving Word Mysteries.
All right, let's look at some actual evidence from the field. Check this out. The habitat, or natural home of a polar bear, is the Arctic. If habitat is our big mystery word, look really closely at what immediately follows it. See those handy little commas? And right there between them is the phrase, or natural home. The sentence is directly handing us the solution. It's a classic definition clue. Habitat literally equals natural home. Boom, case closed.
Now this next one is brilliantly sneaky. Unlike his gregarious brother, Tom was shy and preferred solitude. Okay, gregarious is a pretty hefty word, but look at the very first word of the sentence, unlike. That is a massive neon sign pointing straight to an antonym clue. It's telling us that Tom's brother is the exact opposite of Tom. If Tom is shy and likes being alone, well, what's the opposite of shy? Outgoing, social. So gregarious must mean outgoing. That one little contrast word completely cracked the case for us.
Let's try one more. She felt rejuvenated after the nap, ready to run errands with energy. Notice there are no commas, giving us a neat definition, and no unlike, pointing to an opposite. But we do have a situation. What normally happens when you wake up from a really good nap? You feel better, right? And the text says she's ready to run errands with energy. So, using our own knowledge of how naps work, we can easily infer that rejuvenated obviously means refreshed or re-energized. That is a perfect inference clue.
Getting to Section 3, the detective's challenge.
All right, time for your debrief. For challenge number 1, can you mentally pull up that toolkit we just looked at? Try to name 3 of the 5 types of context clues. And even better, can you invent a quick original example for each one? Being able to do that proves you're not just memorizing labels, you actually know how the tools work.
Moving to question 2. Why might you need to look beyond just the one sentence you're stuck on to find a word's meaning? Remember that giant puzzle analogy we talked about? Think about how those hints can sometimes stretch across an entire paragraph before the image becomes clear.
For question 3, I want you to think about the power of opposites. How exactly do antonym clues help you out? Try to explain how knowing what a word definitely isn't can beautifully reveal what it actually is, just like we did with Tom and his gregarious brother.
Question 4 puts you in the author's chair. I challenge you to write a sentence that uses a definition clue for the word resilient. This is your chance to use those fingerprints. Drop in some commas or maybe parentheses to give your reader the answer right there in the text.
And for your final challenge, let's solve a quick micro-mystery right here, right now. His generosity, or willingness to give, impressed the crowd. Which type of clue is the author using? Look really closely at the punctuation. Notice that phrase, or willingness to give? Yep, for sure that's a definition clue. If you got that, your detective badge is officially earned.
And finally, Section 4, Education, Morality, and Peace.
So, let's slow down for a second and look at the bigger picture. We've mastered some incredible reading skills today, but let's shift from reading skills to life skills. The absolute core of the HeroesmartAcademy Godly Learner Series philosophy is that we have to intentionally combine education with biblical morality. Why? Because gaining knowledge is only half the puzzle. Education without morality won't just hold you back. It will literally hurt you and the people around you.
I mean, think about it deeply for a second. What is the absolute point of being brilliant? Of being a super educated word detective, if you just go out into the real world and keep making bad, immoral choices? Intelligence is kind of like a power tool. You can use it to build a really beautiful house, or you can use it to just smash things down. Without a moral compass, all those smarts can easily become destructive.
But there is this incredible promise attached to getting this balance right. Romans 8:6-7 promises true peace of mind to everyone who keeps their mind spiritual. And this isn't just an abstract theory, it's real. When you pair up a really sharp, intelligent mind with a deeply spiritual and moral mindset, the result isn't just success, it's profound, lasting peace. You actually sleep well knowing your intelligence is being guided by goodness.
So that leaves us with the ultimate mystery for you to solve in your own life. You're building these amazing tools, you're learning to figure things out and think independently. So with your awesome new detective skills and your growing intelligence, what kind of choices are you going to make? How are you going to use your capable mind to do good, avoid causing hurt, and actually bring peace to the world? Keep solving those mysteries, keep seeking the truth, and use that brilliance wisely. Catch you on the next explainer.